Call the meeting for January 9th to order. Everybody join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda. The amended agenda.
I'll move approval of amended agenda.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. So carried. Approval of the consent agenda, which is the December 19th minutes, the January 9th vouchers in the amount of $203,039.95, and the December 31st payroll in the amount of $397,840.18.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. I got one note on the minutes side of it. The voucher amount is missing a number there somewhere.
Oh, is it?
Well, it says 233,3263.
Oh,
So
yep.
I don't remember what the number was, but
I'll look back on the agenda,
yeah.
the consent agenda for that, and we'll make that correction.
Any other comments? If not, been moved and seconded to approve the amended consent agenda with the corrections. All in favor, signify with aye. Aye. So carried. Well, we'll give Bill a chance to come in here after Brett. Howard, go for it.
All right. This week we're working on our end of the auto aid update with Fire District 9. I think we mentioned it a month or two ago. Bill and I had gone down and looked at updating our automatic aid, mutual aid with District 9. They have turned theirs on already, and we've ended up on a couple of calls down further into Fire District 9, almost all the way to Francis, on a couple alarm systems and stuff there, and which is good, good for them, for us to be able to help with that. But for us, we're getting ours turned on this week for our 11Fs, 11Cs. Structure fire full response, structure fire commercial response, full arrest, where someone's actually in full arrest with CPR being done, an extrication full response, and a serious medical 46 Delta. So we have the extrication, but rolled over or something like that. So we basically built that so all of the District 9 career units are available to be picked to meet our requirements. So we won't be getting any more units on scene, but especially when it's on the south end, or especially if both of the south stations happen to be already on another call, it'll still be by the closest unit. That if Tower 91 and Engine 92 may be the closest for a MVA on Highway 2 in front of Arby's. Those may be the two that go to it with our duty officer and our stuff there. Same way on the other side, maybe the other way, where there's a call, the north-south freeway thing there, and 91 and 92 are both tied up. We ended up with 44 and 49 on that one in District 9. So more just interchangeable and things with it there. It's not the true borderless dispatch auto aid. That's kind of another step, thing going later. But that's the way the city in 9s, city in 8. City and Valley and 8 and Valley and 9 are. And then it's true, it's just borderless dispatch, whatever unit is closest for any call. We're not quite to that point yet, but this is the first step towards that, and we're getting that turned on this week. Along with that will be the incorporation of getting our tower actually into the run cards and into the nature codes for any fire call within the city of Deer Park. That ladder will be in there, and any commercial structure fire response, confirmed commercial structure fire response anywhere in the district. It's a commercial, then the tower will be added into that as well, our tower. So I've got those updates going. And little position update and thing. We sent an email out today, but we have appointed our offer to the assistant fire marshal, one of our existing firefighters that had demonstrated a propensity for desire to work in that area. He and Jared work together very well. He's He's a retired police officer from before, so this is kind of a second, career type thing anyway. So, does a good job and, everything on the line, but he brings a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge forward. Is David LaChapelle, one of our firefighters. So he's going to start into that and start him in a professional development role, i.e. we're going to get him in, and he already knows a lot of the stuff that we do, but there's some certifications and things that Jared's going to work on getting him on, and that's on the professional development side. He's starting at an X wage scale that's 1 until he gets those, and once he gets meets all the certifications and everything there, then he'll move up to the fully qualified position in there and change the pay scale on it. We anticipate 12 to 18 months, I think, was.
I think actually to get all the way through
all of it.
All of it is probably closer to 36.
Okay. So, but he's here. He's on board. He's very excited to do that. So we've offered up there, and found that Roger hadn't heard about Brad. So in case any of you hadn't heard about Brad, but Captain Martin, he's on medical leave. He's had some issues that have made it so he is not able to function in a response capacity for us, and unknown on the return time. But it looks like it's going to be a bit before he'll be able to come back. So we have put one of our captains in an acting captain position, firefighter paramedic Ryan Schleining, and he's going to act up into that position and start getting trained and working with that. So with the not knowing there, with those two coming from the full-time firefighter rank, keeping our numbers where they are, where they need to be. The LaChapelle is probably a permanent piece there. We don't foresee him going back unless something happens, that it doesn't work out for him, but we don't foresee that happening. But it's an unknown with Brad of how long work goes back. But with that being the unknown, we have offered the next two on the list of firefighter from both internal, again, Josh Kirkendall and Richard Olson. And they're all going to be coming on one group with the group we have coming on. So and they're all set to start. Those two in the new positions, as well as Kirkendall and Olson, all with the other new hires, all on February 1st. So they have a big orientation here tomorrow. Russ has that put together, and going to have a full day for them with paperwork and the expectations and everything there. So that'll be tomorrow for the orientation, and we'll have them all up and going in those new positions as of February 1st. And no Shrek update. There was no meeting in December, so no update from you from the last time I talked to you guys on that. So that's all I got. Unless any questions. Oh, no, it isn't. I take it back. I do might go back already. So we talked
It's
about
not really considered to go back then.
we talked about it a little bit before. Have in front of you there, you'll see this sheet. It's two-sided. Kind of took some language from the agenda that we use for the Shrek board meetings. And the intention is just like on the agendas, for the Shrek agenda, we have the top, the Zoom link and everything like is on ours, but then this language is right there at the top, so it's very clear to everybody the procedure and what they need to do if they wish to address the board during the public comment session. It's in the agenda, and then if people just view the agenda online, it gives them the explanation for how they need to sign in the chat room to be able to talk. And so that's all on the agenda before they come. And then again, we have to sign, here that spells it out. And then the part that's down below, the open public comment, that would be the recommendation we do there under 8. We just do an A under 8 with explanation, just reaffirming it there. Speakers sign in on site for about 3 minutes each to address the board. And the number, unless you guys know different, for Shrek we had 3. We used to have 2. I don't know if you guys have a preference on what the number of minutes or thing is on there. I don't know if there's a set standard by the regulations on it. I don't know. But
Trying to remember when we set that before, it was either 3 or 5, and I'm thinking maybe 3.
I was thinking it was 2 or 3 was what we had before. I bet we can.
well, I know we had 2, but I know that Shrek's has used 3 from the inception. But I didn't know if there was anything that made fire districts any different or stuff there.
The time that we were doing when we first put that in, we were still down at 42. And in fact, just before we got into the office down there, we were still meeting in the truck bay, or the truck room.
So if you guys are good with it, on the agendas moving forward from here, we'll add that language in and get that on there so people have the clear expectation of what they need to do there and thing to be able to address the board.
We'll also look to make sure there's no language in public meeting regulation that stipulates it's either gotta be so much or can't be more than.
Right. So we'll go ahead and move forward with that and get that on the next one. And now that is all I have. Oh, let's see questions.
That was a, oh wait, now I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill.
Okay, we'll start late, little update on what's going on. So we have a cracked gas line on the roof that goes to those two main heaters in the community center. And they're looking for a way to isolate that line without shutting the whole rest of the building off. So anyway, Dan and Aaron are working on that right now, and if we've got to have somebody come and cap it or whatever, we'll do that. Hopefully we won't have to shut the whole dang building off to cap it and then relight everything. Probably not. But anyway, so that's what's going on with that. They're working on that right now, and Dan said he'd poke his head in here and let us know what they find. But it's a crack, of course, in front of the shut-off.
Of course.
To those two heaters, so they're looking for the next best place to shut it off. All right, so that's what's going on with that. The training center is nearing completion. I think we'll talk about another little issue here in a minute. But we want to do a ribbon cutting ceremony on there once they get it all finished up. They're looking towards the end of next week, maybe to wrap it up. It's really looking great down there, but I'd like to do a ribbon cutting and then we'll take some pictures and post that on our Facebook page and all that. So if you guys can, or at least one of you, if not all of you, we'll get you some dates and find out what might work for you, and we'll do a cake and some ribbon cutting down there to kind of christen the new building. But it really is looking sharp down there. So
You asked Bob to be there?
Bender?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. I told him I wanted his picture underneath that overhang over the back door because he landed on his head out there at least once a winter.
He's struggled for years to get, he's always asking. Make it feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
If he doesn't call
Calling
him
out
out.
the Bender overhang.
Bender overhang.
I'm sure you're down where it's warm, but.
Yeah, last time I saw he was surfing.
He was
so.
surfing, yeah. So he probably won't come up, I've got to. So, a couple little things on the news front. I did an interview with Spokesman Review last week. Haven't seen it yet, but it was, I think it was a great interview with them about our partnership with AMR, and the reporter that was here spent 20 minutes or so with me, then went out and interviewed the crew that was on that day, and they just happened to be there working with our crew on the ladder that we brought over, and I'll touch on that in a moment too. But anyway, she took some pictures of the ambulance, and we gave her that picture that we've had on our Facebook page, and she was happy with her time here, so looking forward to that article. And then, I don't know if you guys have seen the article, Nicole sent it out, but I don't think it went to the commissioners. I think it just went to a handful of chiefs, but great little article in AMR's, what they call the Pulse, and I'll just read it to you. It's just a paragraph or so, or a couple of paragraphs long, but they use that picture that we took out in front of the station, and this is just what it said. Spokane expands into Deer Park, Washington. In fall of 2022, our Spokane management team began researching options with Spokane County Fire District 4 after seeing an increase in call volume and more requests for their transport provider for backup coverage. After meeting with the district's administration, we worked together to develop a solution that best balanced the district's desire to provide a dedicated transport resource to their citizen and a cohesive group of professionals to respond to calls. On December 15, 2022, a 24/7 ALS unit officially went into service. The ALS unit, FD441, is based on Fire Station 41 in Deer Park, where our AMR crew is housed alongside a 24/7 engine company and a duty officer from Spokane County Fire District 4. In the first 2 weeks of operations, the unit has already responded to over 100 calls for service. We have received several reports from the district administrators, employees, and citizens regarding the great work and care our crews provide. And then the little header on the top says, our partnership with AMR will bring an enhanced professional level of EMS care to Fire District 4. And that, I believe, I'm the one responsible for saying that, but it doesn't say that here, so whoever said it, it must have been brilliant.
100 calls in that period of time.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
So anyway, yeah, I think we've got off to a great start. They had one of the ugliest ambulances I've ever seen in my life here for a couple days, but that's
Yes.
Hit me around in a circle a time or two.
well, it was one that when they bought rural Metro, it was one left over from that, and they had it up here when they were doing
Oh, that picture looks good.
they were doing maintenance on the normal unit. So anyway, still expecting a March delivery for the red one that's supposed to show up then. So we're going to post that article on our Facebook page. We just waiting for one last approval from AMR before we do that. So,
Good.
anyway, yeah, it's a nice article, I thought. Any questions on any of that? So Jared has entered into an opportunity with the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. And I know there's some other partners, but can't put my finger on who they are. But anyway, for an arson dog. And so they supply the dog, all the veterinary care for the dog, everything responsible except for the gravy train, I guess, for the dog, and it has a 5-year service life, and then after that 5 years, then they pass the dog on to its handler. But we're looking at that opportunity. They called and said, hey, we can fit you guys in right away if you want to come now, but we didn't figure it was the right time with the new assistant joining our staff and all that. So probably look at either August or April to go back to Maine. There's an extensive bonding and training program that we'll send Jared through, which is all covered by them. And we'll have a nice tool here.
Well, it makes it a region-wide tool.
Yeah.
Looks like Mako out in the valley.
Mako, yeah.
But it's Mako's
Mako recently
retired.
passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he retired.
The valley, right?
Mako retired several years ago.
Yeah.
What was the one that we were just recently out there in Sauna? That wasn't Mako. That was
Have
a
they done
dog.
another one now?
No, somebody had that.
AMR has a service dog.
AMR would have a cadaver dog.
There was a.
They would have an arson dog.
No, they have just a service dog.
Oh, service
I don't
dog.
know if it's a cadaver dog.
They had some dog out there. It was a younger pup too, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it was arson dog.
Well, maybe there's a
They might have another one.
Yeah.
As busy as they were with that, I'd be surprised if they hadn't replaced it.
Yeah. So that's kind of exciting. I think.
Well, I think Rick Freier's arm was a couple inches longer than the other one. Trying to hold on to that dog. So.
Yeah. So
Jared had his hands full.
I look forward to that. Thursday, Lena and I are going to go down and visit with Lonnie Newton from the Bureau of Land Management and visit with him about potential of maybe doing some of our wildland incident management team billing through the BLM again, depending on some things that the Department of Natural Resources has in the works in the next couple of years. So just trying to build a PACE plan for our billing for incident management response there. So
I think that will prove to be a good conversation because we've had some pre-conversation with the regional office folks from Bureau of Land Management out of Portland already. And I think they're in favor of doing that with us. So, and the only other thing I've got is I'm not sure how the best way to couch this is. It's not a proposal, but it's a proposal for a proposal. Does that make sense?
A proposal for a proposal, yes.
So what I'd like to do is get some estimates for at least one new all-wheel drive engine to replace one of those internationals we have that's wearing out, nickel and diming us to death, and possibly two of them, and then once we know what kind of money we might be looking at, discuss whether we would want to expend some cash carryover towards that end or invest some of that apparatus reserve funds that we have. So anyway, just before I got tracked too far down the road of doing a little research, wanted to hear if you guys thought that might be a reasonable idea, and we'll generate some numbers and stuff and come back with a proposal. And one other thing I'll tell you to salt the oats a little bit. Rosenbauer apparently has a whole fleet of those cabin chassis that they have their finger on, and apparently the supply chain for those is somewhat limited otherwise. So there may be an opportunity to do sort of like we did with our Quint, purchase the cabin chassis ahead, part and parcel of the finished product, pay for it as we go and save some money that way like we're doing with our Quint.
So that's a Rosenbauer chassis then? Or-
I imagine they're international chassis similar to what we have now, and then Rosenbauer body.
So you're talking about taking specs and stuff that I know we have apparatus committee that I'm sure went through years ago and using that and buying more off that same specification process, or I'm assuming you replace a like for like. In other words, four-wheel chassis for four-wheel chassis, or
That's the
where do you
idea.
have to go
Whether
with
it,
committee?
well, I don't know that we want to replace exactly like for like, so yeah, we want to maybe put a committee together again and look at it, but the idea being, because there's been some drastic changes made in apparatus since we bought those originally, replace it with what meets today's standards, and then also take a look at, there's a couple companies out there that build a custom version versus one that's on a commercial chassis, and see if that's a better fit, or if it's a better fit to put it at 46 and still have one of the commercial chassis that's a better fit for a kind of all around, one that wouldn't be afraid to drive out through a wheat field or something if we needed to do that too. So there's really two parts of that need, and one is to have an all-wheel drive unit to respond to those 2-mile-long driveways up in Elk and out in Jack's neighborhood, and certainly Jim's as well, and to have something that's a little more versatile for off-the-highway type of use, like we often use those all-wheel drive units that we have now. But I know we have one in particular that's costs us money almost every time we roll the thing.
Well, it seems like those things have been a constant nickel and dime thing since we got it.
They have, and part of that, and Dan's going to look into it a little bit. Apparently, there's some grant funding out there for some of those trucks that were built right as emission regulations were changing, which these all are, because apparently the industry is experiencing problems with those, and much of what we're seeing right now with these is emission related issues. And so anyway, that's just one of the things, but there's they're just nickel and diming us at this point. The design and that particular type of apparatus, I believe, is a must for us because we've got a lot of area that we just can't get to without something like that. But it's probably time, well, I know schedule-wise, it's time to replace at least one of them based on the commercial chassis. We don't get the life out of like we do a custom chassis.
I think it'd be a good idea. Get some facts and figures and thoughts and everything else together, sitting down and discussing it and, whatnot, can't hurt anything.
No,
It doesn't cost us anything.
No, I just want to put the thought out there that we probably would, if we decide that's the right way to go, we need to dip into some cash carryover and some of that apparatus reserve that
Maybe we'll look at an Oshkosh chassis.
something like that.
Well, again, I just only asked because I know you were on the committee, that facility committee for years from the board standpoint or whatever. I assume that'll get, if we have to go that committee route, I assume we'll get that fired up right away, or are we not going that route? That's the
Well, I think
question
the
have.
committee would look a little different than they used to. I know Jack was on the committee with Dan when we first started talking about the Quint. And so we would do something to that in future.
I think better descriptor being a small work group versus a committee.
I wasn't on it, so I don't know what they did.
Rather than, my opinion is, rather than trying to design every nut and bolt on the thing.
Right.
No, leave that to the experts.
Well, like I said, when we had the apparatus committees years ago, 20 years ago, thing on there, we had people on there that have been on the department for 15, 20 years, and a fair number of them. And, they've been driving the drove truck and, all these things, that have, value. We don't have that makeup anymore. We don't have that type of thing. So a smaller work group with more subject matter experts versus just, everyone that, has just a bunch of time is a lot more effective use of time.
I just know the challenge always is putting that set of specs and bid stuff together so that everybody has a shot at the same thing. Or the other route is try to go down sole source or more defined, and you got to have all the backup as to why and how and all that stuff. So.
Well, I think we've got the right man on the job now to help us write those specs and all that. That's another big difference, a big plus that we have today that we didn't. And we're not trying to build something that we haven't had before. We're just trying to upgrade it and replace it with the right unit. So if there's not any objection, we'll do a little window shopping and try to get some numbers put together and see what's out there and available, and then we'll bring that back to the board.
Didn't we have in our board retreat, when we were looking at stuff to replace in long-term schedules, weren't those on that?
They are. And I think,
I don't remember when, but
I think one of them is probably past that date, and the other ones are probably just a couple years out. So, but yeah, you're right, Roger. We did look at those, and I think we're awfully close with the first one of those we bought. I think was an 09.
And it might not be the, quote, standard lifetime of them, but the maintenance cost is the thing that's going to drive getting rid of the nickel and diamond thing.
Yeah, and I know those 3 units, we had a shorter lifespan than we do our commercial units by, I think, 5 or so years.
probably ISO kicks in at some point too.
Yeah, and I suspect there's some difference there, but I know the bulk of the reason is the commercial chassis versus the custom one. So,
I know the one that's causing us the most issue is the one that did a little spin down Sands Road, a few years ago. And, they didn't total everything out, thing, but you get a truck that big and go and doing the tweaking on, all the joints and all the things, it has never been the same, so.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't surprise you.
no. Well, and I think the other thing that, if we saved the one that was in the best shape and we put that out at 48 where it wasn't running every day like the one at 46 is, probably getting another few years of life out of it. So, but that one at 40, moving that to a frontline truck at 46, I think was the absolute right thing to do, but it gets a lot of
A
miles.
lot of months.
So that's all I got until your amendment in the agenda.
Okay. Jim?
Just the commissioners deal at the Longhorn.
I'm assuming, did all of you RSVP for that?
I did.
You did too? Okay, very good. I got a hold of Nicole today just to let her know we're looking at it. And so you got the email regarding, they're just gonna bill us for the commissioners and chief, and then you guys can just pay, if you're gonna take a date, you can just pay there for them.
Oh,
So they're making it really easy that way, so,
Just get there early to squeeze in.
yeah. Yeah, I know, the place isn't that big.
So we pay there for
For your
my
date.
wife.
Yes,
Good enough.
yes.
or your dates.
Or your dates. Whatever you want to take. I would recommend you take your wife though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and then they're just gonna build each individual districts for the commissioners, so it'll be good.
Somebody bring a car with an extra seat in case Roger doesn't bring his wife with him.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Jim?
No.
Right? No, I don't have anything. It was just the association dinner is all I had up.
Perfect. Hey, Jack. I do have one thing. Legislative Day. I got notification from Washington Fire Chiefs. It's coming up in February 17th. So I'm assuming you're all interested in attending that,
Yep.
along with Howard. You
I'm
know?
not sure.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Oh, okay. All right. So Roger, how about you?
Oh, I was. Are you going, Howard?
Howard's going.
So we at least have some representation.
Yes, yes. So the 17th falls on a Friday, so fly over on the 16th in the afternoon, and then fly home the evening of the 17th.
You said numbers and then you went to.
And it's a whole new format this year.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, they're not having the meeting. You know,
That's still new.
they've always had the meeting with speakers and everything else in the morning. No.
So is the agenda out?
No, there's no agenda. I just got the
Have you-
notification.
I'll get with, I know,
Oh, it does all end at noon now, doesn't it?
It's only 4 hours.
so I will, I'll get with Lonnie. Lonnie brought it up at the Chiefs meeting
Oh, okay.
the other day and has the best intel.
So he's got some more
I'll get with
information.
him, find out the best, and then
Okay.
we can figure out the flights and the time and
Perfect.
Okay.
if it's gonna be the 1.5 day or if that's to be a 2-nighter.
Great.
Yeah, and the luncheon thing, basically that's off, as I've understood everything, because they says, you rarely got into the legislature, you always got their aides that were all out for a free lunch.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll look into it with Lonnie and we'll.
There's a contact number here. too,
Cool.
for somebody.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so, all right, so Roger, you'd be in to go in if, okay, but the two of you know.
Well, let me check.
Okay. So,
And I'll check and get some of the intel on the actual time commitment and we'll talk.
okay, all right. So yeah, because the sooner we make the hotel and the flight reservations, of course, the better to it get, so. Okay, very good. That's all I have.
That's all you got?
Yep.
You have anything, Roger? I said, no, I don't. Okay, on to the change order.
Okay, so the change order for the training center for $541.85, and ultimately what it amounts to is the wiring and data connections for the digital projector in the ceiling of the training center. So somehow that got overlooked in the initial bid, and what the plan is to essentially build a ceiling tile with that stuff in it, with enough slack that we can move it where it will most appropriately work for. So it was just an oversight in the original design in that training room. So that's what the change order is, $541.88.
So I'll move approval of change order number 3 for $541.85
88 cents. 85.
to it.
85 cents.
85.
Yeah, you need bigger glasses on.
I think I went through both sides of them.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the change order number 3 for the training center. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, signify with aye.
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 So carried. Okay. Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, we will adjourn to an executive session to evaluate qualifications of an applicant for public employment, which I'm assuming will be 20 minutes?
15, 20?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
And I assume no decisions needed after that.
No, we won't make a decision after.
Okay.
No. We won't, you say?
No, we may.
Well,
Okay.